What if someone was stalking you? Imagine going about your daily routine without a care in the world, only to turn around and see somebody following you, or maybe even worse, you re-walking home alone at night, and out of the corner of your eye you see somebody creeping behind you. This is exactly what happened in 2002 when the police received a call about a man who was being followed. But that was just the beginning. This story is terrifying, and it will make you never want to look over your shoulder again. So let's start from the beginning. This all started with a woman named Karen. She called the police after she had noticed a man following her. When she described the man to the operator, she said he was tall, thin, and was wearing a black leather jacket. She also told the operator that this man had been following her for some time now. The scary part was that he seemed to be getting closer and closer to her. The operator took Karen's call seriously and immediately sent an officer to her location. But when the police arrived, they couldn't find anybody matching the description that Karen had given them. They did, however, notice that there were some tire tracks in the mud that matched the description of the car that the man had been driving. They assumed that whoever was following Karen had gotten away. So the police left. What they didn't know was that this was only the first incident and it would not be the last. In fact, there were 2 more incidents that occurred that same day. The first one was reported by a 19-year-old girl. She had been walking to her car when she saw a man in a black leather jacket approaching her. Just like Karen, she had no idea who this man was, but something about him made her feel uneasy. So she tried to get away from him by hiding in her car. Unfortunately, the man followed her and wouldn't leave. He kept approaching her car and knocking on it, which made her extremely scared. The girl started screaming for help, so the man eventually ran away. Again, the police were called, but when they arrived, the man was gone. It wasn't until later that the girl realized how lucky she had been. You see, the man who had been following her was actually the same man who had approached Karen earlier that day. But that wasn't all. The police eventually found out that this guy had also been following another woman around town. His name was Bruce, and somehow he had managed to avoid the police for weeks. But why was he following these women? Well, that's where things get really creepy. You see, Bruce wasn't just following these women. He was stalking them, and he had been doing this for months. Bruce had even broken into one of the women's homes while she was asleep, but thankfully he hadn't hurt her. However, he had stolen some items from her house, including her wallet and her credit cards. The police were finally starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together, but they still didn't know Bruce's motive. Why was he stalking these women? What did he want from them? Well, unfortunately, we may never know the answer to those questions because Bruce was never caught. In fact, he's still out there somewhere, and the police have no idea where he could be. It's hard to say why Bruce was stalking these women. Perhaps he just wanted to scare them, or maybe he had more sinister motives. Whatever his reasons may have been, it is clear that he is a dangerous individual, and the police are still looking for him to this day. If you see a man matching his description, be sure to contact the authorities right away. Who knows? You could be the one to finally put an end to his reign of terror. While this case remains unsolved, there are plenty of other creepy crawlers that have been caught by the police. Take the case of Richard Ramirez, for example. Ramirez was a serial killer who terrorized Los Angeles in the 1980s. He was known as the Night Stalker, and his crimes were so heinous that he became one of the most wanted men in America. Ramirez was eventually caught and convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 counts of sexual assault, and 14 counts of burglary. He was sentenced to death and died in prison in 2013. Another infamous serial killer was Ted Bundy. Bundy was active in the 1970s, and he is believed to have murdered over 30 young women. He was known for his good looks and charisma, and he used these traits to lure his victims into his car. Bundy was eventually caught, and he confessed to 30 murders. He was sentenced to death and he was executed in Florida's electric chair in 1989. Then there is the case of Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer was a serial killer and sex offender who lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He targeted young men and boys, and he is believed to have killed 17 people. Dahmer was known for his bizarre behavior, and he would often keep the body parts of his victims as souvenirs. He was eventually caught, and he was sentenced to 15 life sentences plus 40 years. Dahmer was killed in 1994 when he was beaten to death by a fellow inmate. These are just a few examples of the many creepy crawlers who have terrorized people across the United States. Thankfully, there are also many brave police officers who have put their lives on the line to catch these criminals. One such officer was Eric Frayne. In 2014, Frayne went on a shooting spree in Pennsylvania, killing 2 police officers and injuring 6 others. He was on the run for several weeks before he was finally caught. During his trial, he was found guilty of all charges, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Another heroic police officer was Darren Wilson. In 2014, Wilson shot and killed Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Brown was unarmed, but Wilson claimed that he felt threatened by Brown's size and demeanor. After a lengthy investigation, it was determined that Wilson's actions were justified and he was not charged with any wrongdoing. As you can see, there are many brave men and women who have put their lives on the line to protect the public from creepy crawlers. These people are true heroes, and we should all take a moment to appreciate their bravery. In conclusion, the spine-chilling true stories of the Cincinnati Crawler serve as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in our society. The case remains unsolved to this day, leaving us to wonder what could have happened to the victims and how close we may be to danger without even knowing it. The bravery of the officers who investigated the case is truly commendable, as they worked tirelessly to try and bring the crawler to justice. Despite the lack of closure, their efforts brought a sense of comfort to the community and helped raise awareness about stalking and other forms of harassment. As we remember these haunting cases, let us also celebrate the courage of those who strive to keep our streets safe from harm. Through their dedication, we can hope that justice will eventually be served and that the memory of the victims will live on. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.